Hi, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of SteamLUG Cast. We're recording this on the 9th of January 2015. My name is Cheese, and with me I have Corben.
Hello, everybody.
And Bean.
Hello, everyone.
How have you guys been? You had a good start to the year?
Fine. Fine in the last 2 weeks.
Sleeping much?
No.
Alrighty, so, Corben, tell us what you've been playing lately.
Even though I have now a newborn baby to take care of, I did find some time to play some games. And I played a little bit Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which is now working quite good on Linux. I also played a little bit Call of Duty Modern Warfare with Wine, as I could figure out how to get rid of the smoke and fog graphic issue. There is a parameter you can set in the registry of Wine, and then the graphics is fine. I also played some Guns of Icarus Online with you.
Nice.
That was also nice. I also played some Anomaly Warzone Earth, which is kind of tower defense, but in the opposite. So you could say it's tower offense. I played a little bit Castle Crashers and Dynablaster Revenge, which is a Bomberman clone, also running on Linux. And this one has won the demo party of 2014. And if you don't know what a demo party is, it's from the former times when games have been pirated. The groups who did that made a small intro in front of the game to show they made the crack and something. And a lot of people got interested in those intros. And from that stuff, this demo scene started. And it's still a competition to make good graphics in very small binary size.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dynablaster Revenge is a game which resulted on one of those demo parties.
Nice. Bean, what have you been playing?
I can always find time for Borderlands pre-sequel, so I did. Played a little bit of Flashout 2, tried some multiplayer. Played Cosmicoria, because I'm still really just kind of digging the kind of naked cosmonaut farmer vibe.
Understandable.
I took a look at Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, played through the first homeworld, and that's about as far as I've gotten so far. And played some Guns of Icarus during the practice events.
Nice.
So what have you been playing, Cheese?
Well, as you mentioned, we had time to check out some Flashout 2 multiplayer, which I guess it's okay. It's just not really a good fit for the kind of events we were running. We were sort of scoping it out to see if we could do it, but it looks like we might give that one a skip. I also found some time to play some Shovel Knight, which I've been enjoying. Miriam has been encouraging me to play more Guns of Icarus Online at night, outside of our usual schedule, so I've been playing a bit more of that than usual lately. And I found time to play through Violet yesterday, which is this point-and-click adventure that has a lot of door maze puzzles. So if you like the idea of going in a door and coming out a door and going back in the door you came out of and coming out somewhere completely different, then that game is for you.
Sounds like a Brain Melter map of Portal 2.
Yeah, it's okay the first time, but it gets a little bit old though.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Shovel Knight? As I heard, it's has been an indie game and it's covering some other indie games or other games at all.
Yeah, so it seems like it's a bit of an homage to some of those really old school platformers and stuff that were on the Sega and whatever, which I quite enjoy, or am enjoying at the moment. We talked about it a little bit last cast, I think it was, or a couple casts ago, where I likened it to Wonder Boy, and everybody was like, Wonder Boy, what the hell is that?
A Mario clone.
What? No way.
What? I can't remember. I did play it, I think, on the C64.
When do you buy swords and stuff and have magic in Mario?
Okay.
But you don't, or at least as far as I've found, you don't buy a new shovel in Shovel Knight, you're stuck with the shovel you have. But you can get some new abilities, and there's lots of inventory items or alternative utility weapons that you can do neat stuff with. Fishing rods that can help you get items that are out of reach, things that can make you invisible, and other interesting bits and pieces. But yeah, that's I've been really enjoying that. Haven't had a lot of time to dig into it, but yeah, it's been lots of fun. So quickly moving on to community stuff. As far as past events go, we had some Planetary Annihilation, which was a bit of fun. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I slept through that one. I played a whole bunch of Planetary Annihilation in preparation for it, and then was a little bit crook and couldn't make it. We had our Dota 2 for Beginners event, which by all reports went fairly well. There's an archive of the recording up for anybody who missed it and would like to check it out. I'll paste a link to that at some point. We had some TF2 where we played the new Manpower beta mode. We had a fantastic turnout for that, and a lot of people who don't like that game mode, so we'll probably avoid doing that in the future.
What kind of game mode is it? I missed that event.
It's
grappling hooks.
It's capture the point, but capture the flag. But there are these power-ups littered through the maps, and you have, as being said, grappling hooks that allow you to move a bit faster. And I think the idea is that when you get a power-up, you're meant to be very overpowered. You're meant to be on a completely different level to people who don't have power-ups. So you might have something that restores your health, and that makes you more or less impossible to kill unless you get another power-up that lets you do more damage and deal with them. But it doesn't feel like it's still in beta, and it feels very much like it hasn't had time to be balanced very well.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it also feels like it would benefit from having more defined or more obvious counters amongst the power-ups, if that's what it's meant to be, you know. Because at the moment, it's just a bit too random, I think.
Well, and as we saw during the event, it's possible for someone to get the right combination of power-ups and weaponry to become pretty much invincible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Valve has already stated on the announcement for it that they are looking to improve it and balance will change over time.
Yeah, and there's already been updates to that mode since we played, which tweak things up a bit. We also had a Borderlands, the pre-sequel event, and we started our Crusader Kings 2 long-form event, following on from our Civilization 5 one last month. On the upcoming events side of things, we're going to be playing Left 4 Dead 2 after this. We've got Trine Enchanted Edition, that's Trine 1, tomorrow, Empire Total War, and Natural Selection 2. Any that you guys are interested in attending there?
I will attend the Left 4 Dead 2 event and probably the Natural Selection 2 event.
Nice.
I'll be there for the Left 4 Dead 2, and possibly for Trine tomorrow.
Nice.
The Trine Enchanted Edition is a different edition from the normal Trine?
Yeah, so they ported the original game across to the Trine 2 engine, and now it supports network multiplayer and Linux, or modern Linux, a little bit better, so get all the benefits of that.
I have to put it on my wish list.
Also happening in community news, there is the new theme, which everybody heard a little bit earlier, courtesy of Expander, who also does music for other things as well, if anyone wants to check that out. And he also has a YouTube channel where he does videos of Linux games, which I think we mentioned previously, but I thought it's worth mentioning that he's still doing those. They're still coming out regularly. I think the most recent one was just a gameplay video of Mims the Beginning, or The Mims Beginning. I can never remember where the is meant to go, which is this sort of cartoonish RTS type thing, or god game. So Nemoda's been capturing a little bit of data from the Steam group over the past 7 months, I think. And this tracks the number of installs and also the number of minutes played. And unfortunately, I didn't quite get the number of minutes played sorted out. But I did manage to compile together the difference in installs between when Nemoda first started grabbing this data and the end of December, which was the last time that we refreshed it, just to have a look at what has changed between now and then, you know, the number of games that have become more popular or less popular. So we can see that for the most part, the top 20 games that people in our group play have mostly stayed the same. Trine 2 has appeared, and so has Civ 5 in the past however many months I said it was, which is understandable. Given that Civ 5 had a Linux port, you know, delivered to us last year, and Trine 2 must be popular at the moment. With Trine 1 having its Enchanted Edition, I'm sure that's resulted in a lot more interest in the franchise for people who didn't want to dive in halfway through. But we can also see that you know, Portal 2 has gone up in popularity since the beginning. Left 4 Dead 2 beta has dropped a little bit, which is interesting to note. Dota 2 has gone up, Metro has gone up, everything's gone up, except for Counter-Strike Source, which is kind of understandable.
But these are not only Linux games. Payday 2 is on Linux?
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing to see as well, is that, like you say, we do have a couple of non-Linux things on there, which I think includes RPG Maker there as well. And if we zip across to the number of, like the change in the number of installs, we can see that it's those Windows titles that have had the most dramatic drop, or the only real drop actually. And I guess that's people moving more towards playing more native games. So Namoda, while you're in chat, I might get you to confirm something if that's okay. The Portal 2 publishing tool doesn't appear in the last dataset. We think that might be because it's no longer a game, it's now listed as a tool. Yeah, that's what I thought. So we can ignore the nearly 3,000 uninstalls of that, but there have been like 1,300 uninstalls of Payday 2, for example. We've seen Civilization 5 has had the least installs of the top 20 at the beginning of that dataset, and has grown to like 2,000 installs across the group, which is interesting. I thought it probably would have been a bit larger, but maybe that goes to show that there are people out there who aren't interested in turn-based strategies, but are using or are interested in using Linux. Is there anything that you guys see as being interesting for this data?
Well, consider that we already have Windows titles in, from the results in the end of May. I'm kind of surprised that Global Offensive wasn't already on that list. Was it unplayable in Wine?
No, it had... Oh, you mean on the top 20?
Mm-hmm. I would have imagined that, if Payday 2, Windows-only title, was able to get in there. I'm just kind of surprised that Global Offensive didn't find it in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was working with Wine. I tried it. It had some issues with mouse, but it was still playable.
So, having a quick look.
Sorry, I was pulling up the game stats on Steam, and I think it's like Global Offensive is, number 3?
Yeah, it's really popular.
I was going to say that's why it seems so surprising to me. It's been popular for as long as it has.
But you can see there in the data on the left-hand side that it had nearly 2,000 installs at the end of May, sorry. So when we did that first data poll, it was definitely in there, not far below RPG Maker. It only missed out on that by about 100 installs. But we're hoping to make more of this data available, and more of this data available in a more accessible format as time moves forward. So keep an eye on that. We're going to try and get that up to the SteamLUG site for everybody to enjoy and interpret. Do you have any thoughts on it, Corben?
I'm interested in how to gather this data. How can I see how many people are installing a game?
There's a part of the Steam API that lets you request the games that people own. And so Namoda's script does a big data pool and tries to get it for everybody from the group, all of the people with public profiles. So this doesn't include people without public profiles, of course.
So people, it's important to have a public profile.
But yeah, interesting data to see. I mean, it doesn't, I don't think that it's anything that that should, define what people go out and buy or anything like that. But it certainly has academic value, and in terms of identifying that, it's really, really interesting to see those Windows titles, drop off the list there in favor of more native titles. I think that's really interesting thing to be able to witness there. And of course, Team Fortress had the most installs at the beginning and end of the period, with a change of about 86 installs, so nothing very big there. Half-Life 2 Deathmatch seemed to have the least change in installs. It's only 31.
At least it got more installs than before.
Yeah, it's just a case of a couple more people discovering it. But there may be uninstalls and installs that happened in the intervening time. This is only the difference in installs between the start and the end. So people may play stuff through, like Half-Life Lost Coast or whatever, and then uninstall it when they're done. What were you going to say there, Beans?
I was just saying, how does this correlate with the growth of the group? Like, these are fresh installs. These are just games that members of the SteamLUG have installed already, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how that...
Well, it's also fresh installs. I mean, we don't know how many are...
Sure.
And that's why we're showing the change between the start period and the end period. And it's something, I guess, that the changing shape and size of the group involves is that when someone leaves or joins, they take or bring their installs with them, which I guess is more of an issue for hours played. If we had a whole influx of people who played a hell of a lot of Dota 2, then that would certainly make a visible, have visible impact.
Isn't that really the only way to play Dota 2, though?
I think so. But I mean, the group must have gone up by more than 500 members in the past 7 months, I'm pretty sure. So that alone doesn't account for the number of new Civilization 5 installs, and every other number is smaller. If that answers your question.
It does.
Okay, Rai has written a Steam command how-to.
Neat.
The Steam command tool is used mostly for installing servers, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it's meant to be for.
Yeah. So if you want to run a Linux dedicated server of a game, which provides a dedicated server, it will be installed through the Steam command. This is a URL.
So the how-to that Rai has written is tailored towards people who want to get a hold of the game files or the install files for or installed versions of Windows games that the native Steam client can't really download. So if you want to run, for example, Open Morrowind and you wanted the Morrowind data files to work with that, you can use Steam CMD to download that from Linux without having to run an entire Steam install in Wine.
I didn't read the article yet, but what I found out was that some of the dedicated servers have different app IDs for Windows, Linux, and Mac.
I wasn't aware of that.
This was an issue as I tried to install the No More Room in Hell dedicated server. It had one app ID for all operating systems, and suddenly it didn't work anymore as I updated it. And it took me quite some time to realize that the app ID changed for the Linux dedicated server. There is a page, I have to look it up, where all the app IDs are written, and for No More Room in Hell it was wrong, and I found out on a different page and could update. It's a wiki, and everybody can update the app ID. Yeah, but that you have to take care of.
Yeah. Something else that's happening at the moment is the SteamLUG.org website is being migrated to Bootstrap. We have a work in progress version which people can view and check out and give feedback on. Still has some rough edges. We're still working on bringing up things like polling support, and there's some usability things with the menu that we'd like to address. We may or may not adjust the look and feel. I'm not really sure where we're going on that front, but if anybody does want to check it out and does want to give us feedback, feel free. Do either of you guys have any opinions on that development there?
I like the look. I think it's nice and clean. Not that the one that's up there now isn't. I'm just hoping this makes it easier to make site-wide changes down the road. And the Twitter box in the front on the news page needs something else next to it. There's a lot of white space there.
Yeah, I think longer term we're going to migrate the Twitter feed to like a secondary column, which also has a calendar for events and countdowns for casts and stuff, so that we can push that stuff out onto every page.
So there's a new community poll up trying to get an idea of what SteamLUG members, what kind of genres of video game they'd like to see down in the future. If you haven't already, please go to the website and vote in the poll.
This is our first sort of more generic poll, as our previous ones have been related to the Portal 2 mapping challenge and when we hold the Guns of Icarus practice sessions. So hoping to get a good turnout for this one, and it's been interesting to see the things that people vote for so far.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that racing games is still in the one of the top requested genres.
But even the most requested two, which are first-person shooters and racing games, only have 55% of the vote-ish, meaning that everybody's interests are pretty diverse. I like that. So yeah, hopefully this sort of data gathering might be of interest to porters and developers as well. It certainly challenges the notion that that Linux users are more interested in real-time strategies and turn-based strategies than other things, which had been posited on a previous episode of the cast.
I had a little bit difficulties with the poll, as there are some games, or at least some genres, where I don't know the games which would be appropriate for an event, like interactive novels.
No, this isn't about events. This is more along the lines of what would you like to see more of come to Linux.
Okay.
Yeah, we might update the description there. But yeah, if you haven't voted in the poll, go and do so. It's open until the end of the month. Encourage your friends. Do whatever you need to do. Jump out of a cake.
Please, because right now we have less than 1% of the community that actually voted so far.
Which wasn't something I was going to draw attention to, but it's all good.
Then cut it out.
And we had a sort of end of year news post that some people have been sharing some thoughts in. People are very welcome to do the same. A nice comment that I spotted yesterday was from somebody who says, it was great what you did this year, guys, and the effort you put into Linux gaming, even if I only took part in a couple of events and I sucked. It was a lot of fun. So very nice feedback there, thank you.
So let's move on to the Steam and Valve news. How about the Steam survey stats? I didn't see the poll again.
Yeah, I don't think anything interesting has happened on that front. We might skip those two.
Yeah, I think I have opened the survey page.
Oh, you have? Okay.
And Linux increased about some percentages or fractions of a percentage, but at least some increasement.
Yeah. It's tricky in that the survey itself, like the methodology behind it's not very transparent. So it's difficult to know how much confidence you can have in the results, like what the confidence level would be. And so the kind of fluctuations that we often see for Linux are sort of statistically insignificant. They could just be sample noise, you know?
Yeah, but it's interesting. I do get the poll only if I log in on the 1st of the month at all, if at all. And then I get it maybe on Windows, maybe on Mac, but for half a year or longer, not on Linux, which is very sad.
It certainly is. So, a few days ago, somebody who I think was in the lineup to make one of the Steam machines that was in that sort of list of, was it 20 that came out back in at the end of was it the end of 2013 or early in 2014? I can't remember. But the CEO of one of those companies has come forward and said that they think that the gamepad's going to be ready soon and that they believe that the Steam machine stuff is dead, which is an interesting statement to make. But of course, Valve came along afterwards and said, no, they're not dead. We're gonna have big presence at GDC this year.
I read about that they are not talking about Steam machines, but living room PCs, which will be...
That's all Steam machines ever were going to be.
Yeah.
But I think that that's what the CEO of this company was saying rather than something that Valve was saying about the sort of living room PCs thing. But yeah, it just goes to show that, I don't know, to me it smells a little bit like someone who wanted a little bit extra coverage. Say something topical.
Yeah, maybe.
Any thoughts on that, Bean?
No, because I've like anything else with Valve, it's like we're going to see it when we see it.
It's done when it's done.
Yeah.
And so all the rest of this is, it's just guesswork.
Speaking of things we can see now, a recent Steam client update brought in an FPS counter, which people seem pretty excited about.
It's a Steam beta client.
I think it's been moved out to the stable client as well, although I could be wrong.
Oh, I didn't see it yet.
Are you running the stable client, are you?
I'm running both clients.
Oh, exciting.
One machine, the beta client, on the other machine, the stable client.
Oh, okay. Break says it's not in the stable yet. I must have misread something somewhere. But yeah, so that's there's a lot of people who seem happier than I thought they would be about that. I guess it's nice to have something, handy that's easy to bring up.
Especially as some games have problems with other frame counting mechanisms. Some are detecting it as a cheat.
Oh, okay.
So if Valve will put it into the Steam client, it should probably not be detected as a cheating mechanism.
No. I mean, the Steam overlay's fairly safe bet. So, at, is it at CES? I can't remember what stuff's going on at the moment. Somebody want to confirm that?
For what, the OSVR?
CES is going on at the moment, I think. Yeah, okay, it is CES. Alright, good. I'm not making stuff up. So at CES, recently, Razer and Sensix announced that they're teaming up with a bunch of other people to launch an OSVR initiative, which is their open source virtual reality thing that they're going to be doing. They have a dev kit thing that's due to ship, I think, in the middle of the year. That's $200, and I got confirmation back from one of the developers that their SDK is intended to be supporting Linux, and they're also planning to do sort of open hardware designs, and the SDK itself is going to be open source as well, and they're going to have open source like plugins for which I assume means that the middleware that they provide for existing engines and that sort of stuff is going to be open source as well. The developer that responded to me said that they're planning to use Apache 2 for their licensing, and that he couldn't make any official statements, but by design, everything is running well on Linux at the moment. So that's cool to hear. Either of you guys been paying attention to that?
I didn't see the news at all, but it's interesting to have an alternative to the Oculus Rift, especially as they are targeting Linux.
Yeah, I think the more players we get in this field, the better. Having a couple of companies pushing the envelope in different directions is going to likely result in more robust technologies all around, I think. And given the kinds of companies involved, Oculus seem in a fairly safe space. They've got Facebook behind them. They're probably not going anywhere. They might go away from PC space, but as a company, they're not really in jeopardy. And Razer have a history of making specialist gaming-oriented hardware. So they feel like they're already in the right kind of space to appeal to at least the gaming side of the market. So they're a good contender to have in there, and I think it's pretty neat to see them embracing the kind of open design side of things. I think that's going to accelerate adoption and increase the number of vendors who are comfortable working in this space as well. So they're doing away with the whole lens distortion to increase the effective resolution at the center of view thing, and trying to get as little distortion as they can get, which is an interesting move. I think they're going for 100-degree field of view, and it says that that's this hacker kit comes with an additional display board for allowing interchangeable displays, which is kind of interesting.
Does one of you intend to get a hacker dev kit?
If I've got money when they become available in Australia, I will possibly look into it. Yeah, I think so. At the moment, I think they're planning only to ship this to North America. I read that somewhere, but I don't see it on their on the official website. So it could have been mixed messages or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting which games will be available to this to this OSVR.
Yeah, I think they said that they're gonna make the hardware, or try and make the hardware compatible with the Oculus SDK as well.
That would be nice.
And if they do that, then obviously all the existing stuff out there should, fingers crossed, run. But I'd like to see more developers looking at HMD APIs that are have free software licenses like OpenHMD or this OSVR stuff if it takes off, rather than the kind of thing that Oculus have going on, which is a little bit more restrictive. But yeah, moving on to general gaming news.
So it looks like the Skullgirl devs have issued an apology and also noted that the port to Linux is being worked on.
Yeah. Nice to see them offer that apology and say that their perspectives have changed and identify the areas that they probably should have done differently. I think that's a really positive step forward that's going to win them a lot of loyalty that they wouldn't otherwise have. So there are some screenshots at the end of that post showing it running in Ubuntu. There's still, it's still a work in progress. There's a bunch of stuff still missing, but baby steps, and hopefully we'll see that soon. Are either of you girls looking forward to Skullgirls?
This girl definitely is. Actually, I'm not excited about that genre myself, but I'm glad to see something of that genre with a little more polish come into the Linux gaming space.
Yeah, same here. I'm not particularly interested in the title myself, but definitely happy to see a developer who is understanding better how to interact with Linux users and how to focus on Linux. I hope that this gives them positive experiences and that they look at supporting Linux for their future titles as well. For anybody interested in Team Fortress 2, there's a open tournament that's been advertised on the Team Fortress website, which is open to all players. It's a different game mode called Arena Respawn, where teams of 5 will duke it out, and the objective is to kill everybody on the other team, and to allow your teammates to respawn, you have to capture a point in the middle of the map. So it becomes sort of about map domination and using that to try and bolster your team's presence. It looks like it'd be interesting. If there's anybody in the SteamLUG community who is interested in participating in that, definitely get in touch with us. We'd love to talk to you about it.
So Double Fine has teamed up with Nordic Games to they're going to release a boxed retail version of Broken Age.
And that's going to support Linux as well, which is sweet.
Oh, do we know if this is going to be both Act 1 and Act 2 combined?
Yeah, my understanding is that it's going to be both acts. I don't think they plan on selling Act 1 on its own after Act 2 is available. Which, that means that the game, once the second act is out, will be a complete game that's sold as a complete game, rather than two separate parts of a game. Unless, of course, plans have changed. Don't often get warning when plans do change, but I'm pretty sure that that's still the current plan. Gunpoint, a game that had a Linux port a little while ago, had trouble with some Linux users not being able to get achievements.
Achievements?
Or achievements. After a bit of back and forthing, John Drinkwater from our community, who I think was also beta testing the game for the developer, ended up offering some advice. There was a beta branch that hadn't been pushed live, which sorted out some problems, and now everybody should be able to get their achievements. So nice work, John, and good work to the Linux users who reported that and got the attention of the people who needed to notice.
Achievements seem to be a strange thing on Linux.
Yeah, I remember that Costume Quest has also an achievement I didn't get this year. It's called, I don't know the name, but you have to play it on Christmas. Yeah, not Halloween, I think. And I played it on Christmas and didn't get the achievement on Linux. So I have to try it again next year.
Yeah, I was just wondering that, whether it's a time zone thing or not. I might ask around and see what I can find out.
Some people said they mean the 25th of December and not like in Europe the 24th. But I tried it 3 or 4 days again and again, and yeah, the achievement didn't pop up.
Well, that's something to keep an eye on. Let's see if we can get a fix there. There's been a developer who's hanging out in our IRC channel on and off, who has just launched their game on Steam Greenlight. It's called Caribbean Odyssey, and they're planning to provide Linux support. They're using Unity as their engine. It's a little bit like a sort of piratey version of Trine, I guess. It looks kind of neat, shows a bunch of potential. It's being developed by one person full-time and one person sometimes. It says 1.5 people, according to the developer. Either of you guys had a chance to have a look at that at all?
Oh, not yet. But if it's a Trine clone or something similar, it's definitely interesting.
Nice to see developers come in and interact with the community, talk about their games, and not just talk about their games. So it's not like they're just doing shameless self-promotion. They're actually sort of being a part of things. So it's always cool to see. So if that sounds interesting at all, go and check that out.
So Gaming on Linux was hosting a Game of the Year poll.
Yeah.
Looks like it's still open.
Yeah, I think voting might be going until the 14th, maybe? I honestly cannot remember.
It looks like they've got it split into 2 categories. We've got open source games and then everything else.
Yeah, and you'll notice there that Another World is listed there. It doesn't have enough votes. Everybody should vote for it.
There are so many games, it's hard to keep the overview.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of a mind-bogglingly large amount, and no sooner had the stuff gone up for voting, within moments somebody commented and said, hey, why isn't this game in the list? So, it could have been a larger amount. Nominations were open to any game from any era that supports Linux. So obviously it's a big...
Yeah, because I'm seeing like Counter-Strike Source is in this list.
Yeah.
Is that anyone's Game of the Year for 2014?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know there are people who prefer it over Global Offensive, I think. Or is it the original 1.6 that they prefer over Global Offensive? I don't know. I find it hard to keep track of. But yeah, you get to vote for one non-open source game and one open source game. So if you're interested in voting on that, feel free to do so. You've only got a couple of days left. Did either of you guys vote in it?
Not yet. I see the poll, but as I was confused about the amount of games and which game to choose, I didn't vote yet.
Fair enough.
But now I know which game to vote.
Another World.
Yay! I just did.
Nice. How about you, Bean? Are you...
I threw mine onto Another World already.
You guys...
Yes, it is one of my favorite games, so it's definitely true to vote it.
Nice. It's a very cool game. I've been having a little bit of back and forth correspondence with the developer of Another World for an unrelated project. Well, I guess that's related. It's for it's an Amiga book coming out, which celebrates the visual style and history of Amiga games. And the creator of Another World is contributing a few words to that, so I've been privy to that as it comes across. It could be nice to see go out there, but that's certainly not that related to the show here today. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you guys want to cover?
Nah, with the Gaming on Linux Game of the Year poll, I think we covered it all.
Awesome. Well, in that case, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of SteamLUG Cast. Season 3 is promising to be an interesting season. We're hoping to have some exciting guests, and as mentioned at the very beginning, at some point we're probably going to talk about some format stuff. There might be some changes in the works, there might not be some changes in the works, things that we're thinking about, but we'll share those with you in time. That'd be good. Oh, hang on, I know what we forgot. I'm going, that's not really how we end the show, is it? What's going on here? You can leave us feedback either via email at cast@steamlug.org or via Twitter @steamlug if you like. We definitely appreciate hearing feedback, and you might be able to score yourself a game in the process. And as Namoda mentions in chat there, we're always happy to receive suggestions for events. So on that note, we will leave you and have fun.
Hoping to see everybody next time.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Have fun. You guys can say stuff too. It doesn't have to be me.
But you're doing it good.
I know, but it's bad when it's just me.
Beans, continue.
Okay.
Awesome.
Where are we?
Was that as terrible for everybody as it was for me? Like a bad classic.
It was laggy.
Absolutely.
Mad packet loss there.